life and those who are putting efforts. So it feels good to really share as more value as possible. Okay, because in the current times there will be a lot of people, they'll just talk about, I want to get success, I want to, they'll just talk about it. Okay, however, those who take actions, such kind of people are really very few. And it feels good that we are trying to build such kind of individuals in the society where you guys are really realizing your capability and pushing yourself to become your best version. Okay? And this is really a good thing. And just keep doing this. And in next 5 years, 10 years from now, if you stick with all these habits which you have been speaking since past 1 2 weeks, so you will end up doing something very big with your lives. Okay, so the problems, challenges, all these are part of life, but overcoming that needs a right mindset, right actions, and keeping an observation if things are not working, changing things, keeping on trying again, and having dreams, accomplishing your goals, everything. Okay, so if you have really, if you live your next 10 years like this, automatically your life will go to the whole new level. And you have to do, these are not optional things. Okay, so in your next generation, your children will come and stuff like that, the layer after you. So if you cannot perform all these things and you expect it from them, they will not be able to do it. Okay, and generation by generation, your next generation will become more weaker. So it is in your hands to you become stronger, so that you can take care of your families and your next future. And just talking it is not going to do it. We have to convert it into actions. Okay, so yes, all these things we have been doing. And now today, let's get started with our career related topic. Okay, so let me firstly take this stream, share it in the internal WhatsApp group. We are live. So this is also on YouTube. IT industry workshop. Okay, and guys, whatever we have been speaking as part of the past 2 weeks, we are going to practically apply that in the morning 6 to 7 session, which we have already started. It's like more than a week now, and it will continue. So today morning we did weekly planning. So where whatever we learned for the planning session as part of goals, today we applied that, and daily we are doing something in order to really progress in that area. Okay, so we are going to take actions, and those who do it, they will be getting benefited. So if due to whatever reasons you're not able to join us, I would recommend either watch the recording later or replan your morning time so that you can do it. But not doing it is not an option. Okay, so thoda sa just push yourself to become better. Okay, chalo, fine, all those things said and done. Let's get started then, everyone. Okay, so guys, today we will be touching on with the IT related topic. Okay, and primarily it's about the foundation we will touch today. So it will be required for anybody who is there in the IT industry and involves in end-to-end project development. Okay, so there go few important things here. I've worked with multiple kind of company environments. Okay, so like big service companies, then product-based big companies, then companies like startup level as well. And considering that, and plus my multiple friends are working at different companies, service, product, both of them types, and just trying to extract knowledge. As a summary, uh, what we realized is, okay, it's very easy for an individual to succeed in IT industry. Okay, because there are many people doing a lot of mistakes and they get impacted in a long run. Okay, because they do a lot of mistakes in terms of not taking the right actions or not becoming a team player or not growing it in the right manner in the industry, and because of all this they really struggle in a long run. And what happens is, they go, as soon as you join any company or the industry, the time starts running. Nothing but your experience on paper starts growing, whether you get experience out of the project or not. Okay, this is really the stuff. So if you, as soon as you get a job, you become 1 year experience, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years, 7 years, 10 years. So on paper, you will getting experience because you're working in a company, salary is coming. But in practicality, are you really learning and able to justify that much of experience or not? That's a question which many people are not able to justify. Okay. Yes, some of the people might take it to ego and all that, or hey, may go 7 years ka, so accordingly I will be, but they are not. Let's be transparent. Okay. So you have to really grow and know what that kind of experience level expects from you, and then identify the gap and start working on yourself. That's where we are saying life is a constant learning journey. Now, as part of today, we are going to give a full overview of how an IT project looks like. Okay, what are the multiple segments? And then we will be discussing on what key areas you need to focus upon. And I will share those checklists with you, the key areas which you perform throughout this IT project life cycle. Okay, so everybody, even from majorly those guys who did not get exposure to good project work, for them this session is going to be very useful. Somebody who is trying to like maybe worked as an internship or not having in the IT but not got any kind of exposure, it would be useful for them. Some who is really claiming some gap, so not really knowing industry but trying to get in, for them it would be really very useful. And for some people, this even their projects are giving, but end-to-end exposure might not come out. Okay, so for multiple people, different value is going to come out of today's session. Okay, fine. Now let me share my screen, and one by one we'll get started. Okay, chalo. देखो, how exactly things happen. So basically, everybody in the industry is building some projects. Okay, the entire IT industry is about application development, software development, some kind of projects we build. Okay, fine. Now it could be like there is some client, they reach out to the company develops a project and gives it back to the client. So generally these kind of companies become like service company. They are offering service to their clients. Clients are generally the business guys, the business team, and these people actually have requirements. They come to a company, and this company is a tech company. They say, okay, we can develop your application, and then you build it. So this is a service based company. Okay. Sometimes the tech company itself gets its own idea, and then the product, then that becomes like product. The tech company itself becomes with their own product. Okay, for example, Apple or Google or Amazon. Okay, the business idea, the product is theirs, plus at the same time they themselves are developing it. They don't give it to somebody else. Okay, so that is another model which is like a product based company. Okay, now there could be third kind of companies. Okay, it could be key products might be developed, okay, but for some other clients. Okay, so it's a service company but developing product kind of. Okay, so sometimes like what happens is clients come, you just build a software for them, give it, and then they start maintaining it. However, there will be some very long term contracts like 10 years with the same tech company. The contracts will continue and the product will keep enhancing. So that is another model where service companies will build products for the clients. So it works like internal environment, works like a product based company, but ideally they are just offering service for some other clients. Okay, fine, all this thing well and good. One thing which I realized of how you will be growing faster in the IT industry. Okay, and try to really do this. Okay, whatever code you do, or whatever, if you're a tester or whatever role you play during software development. Okay, when your product goes to production, when your code goes to prod, okay, be there working on the project so that you can see how your decisions are working in the prod environment. This is very essential. Okay, I don't know like which kind of projects, what kind of projects will give you this kind of opportunity, but ultimately you should wait to see how your decisions or the code is working in the prod environment. It is very essential. Okay, that gives you sense of responsibility and ownership towards the project. If you just develop, design, and just keep moving from project to project, and you don't know how your decisions are working out in the prod environment, you will not grow in your career. You will keep making the same mistakes, and you will feel okay, you know everything, but that's not the truth. Okay, why? Because during development the story is different, but once it goes to production environment, once you see it running actually in the system with live traffic, lot of other drama comes in the project, and experiencing those will help you to really grow in your career. Okay, so if it is possible, try to always see how your code runs in production, try to get some updates about that, and if there are any kind of failures happening, try to check on those pieces. But that is essential, don't just throw the things away. Okay, so that is one suggestion which I would give to you people. Okay, okay, now the second area, how these projects actually happen. Okay, so fine, client comes up with requirement, or the company itself has a requirement and somebody develops it. Okay, now they go, it's like you can imagine, right? There are a lot of people involved in project development. Okay, so we have a lot of people. There are client there, there is full tech company, and there are so many roles, a lot of people involved in this. Okay, now how they all collaborate, because they go, if there are even three people talking to each other, there is so much of confusion, right? If they don't understand the right thing, there is going to be confusion, and with confusion they might build, like, misunderstanding can lead to further problems. Now you can imagine there are like 50 member teams, 100 member teams. Okay, some projects might have 150 member divisions in itself. Okay, now the point is how such a big expanding system collaborates with one another, and what is your role as a person in this full big of a system. So IT industry really works in a very organized manner so that there is no chaos and stuff like that. Okay, Dekho. Now point is, again, some very wise suggestions to you. Some of you might be understanding the value of processes which are there in your company, but most of the developers, they do not value it, they do not understand the significance of that, and that shows lack of maturity. Okay, maybe you're not yet ready for that. Generally in the junior time, people don't understand why to follow a process when things could be done in a different or a easier manner. But as you will grow, guys, I have grown, I grew from same mindset to now I know the need of all those things. 12 years in industry and I've really seen them. Okay, so one another suggestion, the one first pointer which I gave is key, look at your code when it runs in prod environment. Don't just keep developing and moving from project to project. That is really going to slow down your understanding of the system. Okay, now the second suggestion, what I would say here is, okay, understand the full process need when it comes to SDLC or any other process which is followed in your company. Okay, Dekho, the processes are there because there have been some mistakes by the team members or people, or process is basically to help you. Okay, keep it that simple. You might hate it, you might not like doing it, but if the process is not there, it is going to become a messy system, a chaotic system, a uncertain system. And देखो थोड़ा सा यहाँ पे I want you to think more deeply. If it is your IT company, okay, forget about, don't think like a developer. Okay, you have to always think like what you're doing in this industry. You're working for a company to build a software for a client. There are three parties here: you, which is a team member, then there is a company for which you work, whatever is your company which pays you, and then you're doing a development for a client. This client could be the company itself or it could be a client. Okay, so a different business. So there are three parties which are interacting with one another. Now what is required to understand is, forget about your part for a moment. How will you succeed in the IT industry is, if you put yourself in the shoes of the company and the client. As long as you think only from an employee perspective, you are going to not have a successful career. That's guaranteed. Okay, you will struggle, you will have complaints because you see only your perspective. That's not how success is built up in this world, basically. If you go ahead only with your part of the view, that doesn't guarantee any success for you. You will only demand, and you will see your own failures, your own problems, and you will never have that maturity and the vision to understand the big picture of what's happening in your companies. So my second suggestion to you would be, put yourself in the shoes of the company for which you work and the client. Try to think like them. What does the business want? What does the company want? How I can give more value to these two guys? Okay, and accordingly then you plan your company actions. This is very important stuff. Okay, if you are not able to do it, you will hate processes, you will hate people, you will be like not liking this industry, and then you will be like, why people force things? Because you don't get it. That's your problem. Lack of maturity. You're not really understanding the big picture, the need of these things. And as long as you're not able to understand, your life in IT is going to be problematic. Okay, so I want you to break this thinking. Think from the perspective of the company and the client, and then you will be able to relate the decisions which are happening are the right decisions to be done. And then you contribute, guys. It's not about taking the process as it is. If you find there are problems with it, discuss, improve, but understand the need of things. Whatever you do in the projects, understand the need of that and then only follow it. Don't blindly follow, understand the need, and don't discard it as well, because it will backfire. And always, for making decisions, think from the perspective of your company, why they are telling us to do things like this. And if there is a problem, try to discuss back with them. Think from the client perspective, what will satisfy the client? Like right now, if let's say you're developing a feature, okay, and if there are problems into it, okay, try to think, your thought is fine. Okay, hey, there are technical challenges, we cannot build it. That is okay. But try to think from business perspective. Okay, whatever you're saying you're not going to deliver, is the business okay with that? Why? Because you might have all your true reasons for not doing things, but if the business fails, eventually they will not be giving billing or money or bonuses or anything. The flow is not going to come. And when the business gets hurt, that is where the business say lay off people. So you need to always make sure that the business is satisfying, it's working properly. And as guys, I started thinking like this right from my 2 years of experience onwards. And I have lived my entire 12 years of the IT industry with the thought process. There were clients where many of the other team members, they used to say, "Arey, that client is a very tough client. He keeps asking, chasing for things. And if we don't deliver it on time, they make a lot of noise. And it's a very hard client to work with." And I worked with that client for like 3 years. Okay. And I was like, I never felt any problem. Okay. I never felt any problem. It was so easy client for me to work. And I'm like, why do other people face so much of problem? And then I was studying, and my conclusion was because I thought the way the client thought. The client needed high paced delivery, things in time in production, and I was developing like that and giving the updates properly to client. So they never had problem with me for 3 years. And other people for like few months of projects, they were not able to deal. So guys, right thought process is required. So second suggestion for you, think on behalf of your company, think on behalf of your client, not just your perspective. You might have to go out of the bracket in order to get your work done, because business is everything, right? Companies, businesses, that's how runs the show. And you need to see how you can add value to the system, not like against it. Because if you are against it, you will suffer, company will suffer. But if you think from the perspective of giving value to these two guys, you will become part of the system and you will grow pretty faster in this career. Okay, it's very important, guys. Understand, very important stuff. Okay, fine. Now, how exactly a project is built up? Now, all these things are done. Few pointers based upon my 12 experience. But now, how is a project developed? Like we said, there are a lot of people involved. There are a lot of processes involved. So all of this is bundled together key as a form of SDLC, software development life cycle. Nothing but right from the start till the end of software. Now, what is the start of a software? Getting requirements, knowing what needs to be done, getting requirements, and end of the software is taking the software to production. Nothing but the live customer where the world sees it. The user, the end user, whatever terminology. So generally people say live customer, end user and all. These are the people who looks at the product. Okay. Now, what exactly happens here? Earlier models, there were a lot of ways of working in developing a software. Okay, SDLC, a lot of models were there. You might have studied it in the college and all that. Spiral model, waterfall model, this model, that model, blah blah blah. Okay. I have worked with waterfall and I have worked with agile as well. Okay, and since past 10 plus years I'm working with agile. So that means agile is one pretty dominating way of software development, which is high pace, result oriented, and it's really good. And many of the companies are using agile approach of software development. Okay, so while discussing today I will be speaking about this agile approach only. But I have worked even with waterfall, and I just worked with it for 6 months or so, and there were some real problems in that. Okay, for example, simple example बोलता हूँ. Long time ago, like for 6 months I worked. It was a project, 3 months of development. Okay, and after developing something, we gave it to the testers for testing. Okay, and now the testers are doing the testing for like 2 months or so. Okay, and then I moved to something else. I moved to some other project. I was doing development for some other project while this was in the QA. Now you can imagine, okay, we don't remember things about what we did 3 weeks ago. Okay, here it was like I did some development for 3 months and then we gave it to the QA and the testers are testing it for 2 months. Generally, if they had any questions in this, while the testers were having any questions in this or doubts in this, and they were reaching out to me, there were many cases I literally forgot what I developed, because it's like long time ago story, like 4 mahine pehle ka puch raha hai. Doubts also, even bugs if they are coming, I needed to again go back to the requirement, read the requirement, look at the code, and then understand. Matlab time waste, fully time waste. So this is the problem which I realized with like waterfall model. Okay, it used to be like phase by phase development. You develop everything, you test everything. If there are bugs, you fix it, and then it goes to production. But it is basically time waster. And there were cases, 3 months of development. Okay, I was not getting confidence whether we are building even the right solution, whether customers will be happy with this, because 3 mahine tak bas banate chale, only dev testing and development. I don't even know whether the QA will finish on time, whether we will be able to finish the full project on time and give it to customer. All those things were such big question marks. And there itself, I realized in the beginning 6 months of my career itself, bhai, there is big problem in this. This is not how projects can work. Okay. And lucky enough, within next 6 months, I realized okay, the full company was adapting towards this agile way of software development. So I was like, chalo, wow, kuch to acha aaya, because current process is like messed up. We cannot work like this. So that means you need to really understand the need. Okay, maybe in your career directly you started with agile. So I just wanted to tell you, before agile, I don't know for how long, but yeah, I felt this and it was very painful. So I really respect agile approach because it solves a lot of problems. Okay, fine. And now देखो guys, agile is also not something new. It is like long time old thing. The first work of agile was done in the early 2000s. मतलब वहां पे, like आज से 22 years ago story, agile actually came into existence. However, 2010 onwards, many people started moving towards agile, and right now it's very popular. Okay, it's been a long time. It's proven. Many projects run with that. They get results with that, and that's what it is. Okay. Now in agile, there are different ways of working. Okay, like different implementations under agile. One is Scrum implementation. Okay, next there is Kanban implementation. Next, a combination of these two, Scrumban implementation is there. Okay. Next, some agile approach even says what TDD. People say even TDD can be belonging as one type of approach of agile, test driven development. Okay. And then there are multiple other things. Okay, there are a few more names as well. If you Google it, you can find it. But one of the very common, these two things are pretty common. Okay, Scrum approach, Kanban approach. Okay, even Scrumban approach, a combination of Scrum and Kanban. These are pretty common things. You will hear these things many of the times. Okay, they go. Oh, I worked with both. Okay, I worked in fact with all of these three models. Okay, rest everything, whatever other things are there, that could be plugged in as part of subsets of these models. So you can explore more. But I worked with these three. Dekho, what is my practical conclusion about this? Okay, Dekho, Scrum approach. It is pretty predictable. It works based upon a pattern and it gives decent results. Okay, so Scrum approach is really good. It works. It gives nice value. Okay, you can blindly adapt it in the project and timely delivery will happen. Customers will be happy. Okay. However, Kanban approach. Okay, what I realized with Kanban is if this approach is implemented properly, it can be more productive and result oriented than a Scrum approach. Okay, but if this is not implemented properly, this system can be misused and it is not going to give value and it will be very worse than a Scrum approach. So that means if you want to implement Kanban, you need to be more alert. You need to think properly and execute it properly, because if you don't do it right, you will get very bad results, and bad results means your customers will be unhappy and you will face a lot of problems. But if you are doing it rightly, then you will be able to get better results than Scrum approach also. Okay, so now that means it majorly becomes that even as part of some team, how do they work and how effectively they are working. But yes, if you follow a Kanban approach, this room of change is always there. You can perform more better if you are a good team. Okay, but if it is not done properly, it is going to give you bad results. But Scrum is something predictable. Okay, it's not going to overperform or even underperform. Scrum is it will give proper results, stably guaranteed results will come. And if there is a team, it will be nicely productive. And that's why many people simply say, okay, chalo bhai, let's do it in a Scrum manner, because this risk is less. Okay, so but yes, you will find some people following a Kanban kind of approach as well. But yeah, you be aware, if you are into a project where Kanban is being used, you need to really make sure okay, it happens properly. Otherwise, if it is not done properly, your projects will suffer. And if the projects are suffering, means your clients will be unhappy, your life will become painful. You'll be like, I code so much and still in the end people are complaining and they are always pointing fingers at us, and then that is a bad thing basically. Okay, fine. Now that's what, as part of today's session, we will be even launching Scrum approach. Okay, how does the Scrum happen? Because that's one of the popular trustworthy ones. And then if you know Scrum, Kanban understanding becomes more easier. Okay, so with Scrum taken, you can understand Kanban very easy. Now how does it say? So earlier I said waterfall may you take a project, you take phase by phase, timing was happening, you take like 3 months for development and then give it to the testers, and then something will happen like security testing, load testing, blah blah blah, sign offs, approvals, and then it goes to production. It took a lot of time. Okay, with Agile it said ki bhai, don't do all this, let's change the way of working. And it simply says ki do development in 2 to 4 weeks, even 1 week cycles are there. Okay, okay, what it says is do end-to-end software process. Like I'm trying to really make you understand the need so that you become a proper IT professional, not just blindly start following things in the system because your company says so. You need to really understand the need of things first of all, okay, where to do what, and that will give you more maturity towards your work. Agile approach says simple. If I don't wait for like 3 months, 5 months, and 6 months, 1 year for projects, you break it down, okay, and develop and deliver project in smaller chunks. Okay, don't wait for bulk everything together. Give small pieces. So in a small piece of, let's say, 1 week, 2 week, or 4 week. So for example's sake, let's say if you're saying 2 weeks, what Agile is saying, in 2 weeks of time, you take some features, you develop it, test it, do everything, whatever is required, end-to-end process, and then even deploy it into production. Okay. So 2 weeks of cycle of development. So by that way, what will happen? Let's say January 1st. Okay. 1st Jan. You take some features. Let's say you take 3 features on 1st Jan. You develop it, test it, demo it. Client says, hey, we are happy with this. Even let's say by 15th Jan, you do a go live of this. Gone. Next 16th Jan, you start with another cycle. Again, few features. Let's say 2 features. Again, you do everything. So nothing but the beauty is you start working and even deploying things to production environment. Okay. And after every 2 weeks, you are giving a demo to your client. So if the client does not like anything, the client says, okay, in the next 2 weeks, improve on that. Okay. Earlier model it was like fully develop everything. And in the end, if the client wanted any changes, they were not happy with it. The tech team will say, oh, we developed everything, we tested, and now you're asking for change. It's not possible. So now with Agile, it became very smooth. You take 2 weeks, you develop something, you demo something. If the clients like it, they say, okay, take it to production. Very good. If they don't like it, then you say, fine, in the next 2 weeks, I will again fix it and then take it to production. Nothing but Agile approach simply says it is a time box based. Somewhere the definition of Agile, if you want to know, okay, a time box based iterative approach of software development. Okay, but guys, more than just knowing about a theoretical definition, you need to know how it works. Simple. Okay, time box based. So nothing but in a time frame. Generally people say 1 to 4 weeks of time. It could be anything. So time box means it's about that in how much time you want to develop and deliver some product. So it is like 2 to 4 weeks. Okay, iterative approach. For loop is iterative loop, right? For loop, iterative loop. For I is equal to 1, it performs all the instructions when I is 1. Then iteration becomes 2. Then it performs everything. What is iteration? It's like in every iteration you perform same activities. Similarly, it's an iterative approach, nothing but full project. 1 year project, you don't develop it in one shot. Do it iteratively, incrementally. Same set of steps. So whatever is included here, let's say in the end-to-end software development approach, which might include, let's say, analysis, high level design, low level design, next development, test cases, unit testing, test execution, okay, load testing, security testing, standard checking, UAT, and then go live. So basically, if these are all the steps for doing a project development, okay, if these are all the steps, it's like perform it in iteration. Iteration 1, which is first do 15 Jan. I'm just giving example. So in the first iteration, you do all of these things, and then you deploy things to production. Then the iteration 2 comes. That's what it becomes iterative. The same set of actions, you keep doing it iteration by iteration. Now, second iteration is 15th to, let's say, whatever, 31st Jan. Now, what it says, that's where it is an iterative approach. So every single time, whatever steps are performed to build a software, you do the same steps for few of the features round by round. So time boxed, iterative approach. So incrementally, you are going to deliver the software. So let's say initially here you will develop 3 features. Here you will develop more 2 features, and then incrementally a point will come when all the full project will be ready. Whatever, it could be 100 features to be done, whatever, it will be fully ready. Okay, so that's how incremental and what is it, time box based iterative approach of software development. That's how you develop a software. Okay, simple so far, clear guys? Okay, able to relate, very basic simple things. But Agile says don't do the entire project in one go, break it down into smaller pieces, and in every piece you take a feature, fully understand, design, develop, deploy it into production, do everything, be happy, done. Next, round by round, take it. Now there is a small incident I would like to share here. In my company we were following Agile. This happened like years ago. Okay, in my company we were following Agile, and one of my friend was working in a very big service company. Okay, I'll not name the company here, but a very big popular big name. Okay, so our way of working is 2 weeks. Now you can imagine how faster people will grow if they are working in Agile. Like fatafat, thinking is fast, problem solving is fast, we don't get much time. You take it, design it, develop it, test it, if there are bugs you fix it. You think you become better because of this kind of pressure environment. And so yeah, we were like that momentum wise. Okay, so what happened is one day my friend called me. He said I'm working for so and so company, and कुछ एक feature आया है, I'm not able to solve it, it's really getting complicated. ठीक है, and मैं बोला क्या है, तो उसके पास लैपटॉप था. He said कि चलो come today while going home come to my place. ठीक है, मैं बोला ठीक है चलो let's go. So I just went into his house. Okay, and we understood the feature क्या था, and then we just built it up. ठीक है, so जो भी है we built it and fixed it, and it was some time, and it was not that complicated. And he was having same experience than me, but he was not able to solve. He said ki since past 3 days I'm stuck with that feature. Okay, but we went there, and in like 3 to 4 hours we were able to solve it. So I just want to tell you, that's what experience on paper does not matter. The knowledge that you carry, that matters in the industry. And now the industry has started rewarding people like that. So if you just hold experience of 7 years, that does not mean a thing. Somebody having 4 years of experience might be better than you, and the companies will reward them more. Slowly this culture is changing in the industry, pay wise and all, but it is happening. And maybe next 5 years it will become even more stronger. Do you know this latest news in some business article? This was coming, even college qualifications, some HRs were discussing college ke qualifications and all, we will not be much considering that also. At least in the US market they are trying to get into that now. Okay, why? Because now internet has all the knowledge, anybody can learn, anybody can become better. So I just want you to be aware, okay, if you are hardworking and if you really grow, okay, you will be able to get huge opportunities. And but if you keep your ego with you, okay, bhai, I have like 7 years of experience, 5 years of experience, 10 years of experience on paper, but your knowledge is not able to justify, you will have a dark future. So guys, be serious. Okay, always work for justifying the salary you take and the experience you have. Because if these two things, these doesn't match, you are different, your salary which you're drawing is different, your experience is different, your knowledge is different. If there is no balance between this, you will struggle in your career. Okay, and that's going to be very problematic. Okay, fine. Now coming back to that incident. So same experience, he was not able to solve it for like 3 days or so. Okay, and but when that guy called me, we were able to figure it out in a matter of 3 days, 3 hours. So the more you do, the better you will get. There are people getting recruited on bench, not getting any project exposure. That means they did not learn anything. Okay, now what happened is we fixed it, we delivered, and ho gaya, main bola, chalo, everything sorted out. And now this is where it gets interesting. Okay, back to my life, projects are happening, and it took like what, 3 months, 4 months, and then that friend called me. We did that feature, do you remember? Okay, now some enhancement came on that feature, and I even forgot about it. Like, what feature you're talking? So remember 3 4 months ago we did that, and फिर बोला हाँ yeah, we did it. So what he said is, Right now, that feature is given for testing. After 4 months, that feature is given for testing, and now there are some observations. They are asking us to make more modification to the feature. Now, what is happening if you really understand? Okay, in these projects where you lose a lot of time for small things, it takes like 3 months, 6 months to really do basic, very minimal stuff. You will never get chance to learn. Okay, a simple thing which can be done in one day, big companies take 1 month for doing that. You will not get chance to learn anything in such projects. So you need high-paced environments, fast-paced environments to grow. Now you make a decision whether your project is giving you to grow or not. And guys, I've seen multiple service companies. My friends keep talking about it, and what came as a conclusion is out of 10 members, only 2-3 people work, and that is enough for projects to run. Okay, only 3 people, 4 people work, and that's it. And the projects will happen, and it's small tasks, they take so much time because of whatever things. But if you are into such projects, try to be that person, the top 2 or top 3 person of your project who actually does the work, not the remaining people who just sit on the project, because you will not learn and you will not grow in the long run. So guys, you are responsible for your life. If you grow slowly in your career, future is going to be scary for you. But if you work really harder, do more of challenging projects, you will be growing faster in your career. And I grew really faster because I worked, and it was hardcore work. Okay, very hardcore work. So I want you to choose the projects also very properly. And yes, in every project is there they go. It's not like service companies work is easy. It's not like that. They have a very complicated, scary projects also where a lot of brainstorming is required. But point is, not everybody puts that effort. So you should be that person in your full team who is leading that team in terms of that thought process. Okay, okay, fine. Now, so yeah, this is what it is. So this is how a agile approach is going to help you. Okay, why? Quickly working 2 weeks, more exposure, more learning. Now I'll just share again the screen, and let's discuss on few more areas. Now, what are the things required for any project development? Let's set it up in an agile manner. Okay, first, requirements needs to come in. Okay, forget about agile or older way of working. First, just understand a regular project, how does it look like? Okay, first you take any requirements. Very good. Next comes analysis phase, which actually decides how will you implement this requirement. Nothing but impact on existing system. Thought process about designing. Okay, how practical it is or not practical it is. Okay, all of these things come as part of initial analysis, whether it's feasible to develop it. Okay, and what kind of challenges might come here. You do all that analysis on a requirement. You don't blindly take it and develop it. Okay, you do this analysis. Okay, what challenges might come. Okay, what are the risks involved in this? What dependencies are coming as part of this? आते चलेंगे project में all these things happen. That's all coming as part of analysis. Next, you get down to designing. To be precise, high level design. Okay, tomorrow we are going to talk more about it, but just keeping it, देखो, you have to start thinking in terms of modular coding. Okay, nothing but reusability. देखो, important thing whenever you build any project is how to keep your code organized. That's very important. Okay, even if you are developing one service, how do you keep your code organized? And for keeping your code organized, considering the requirement that you have, you need to keep your code organized. That means it comes down to how will you use interfaces, abstractions, util classes, service classes, DAOs, and in what layer, what kind of code are you writing? There will be some adapters. Okay. Now you need to really understand, if you are a responsible and a sensible developer, code can be written in hell number of ways. You can take one entry class, they write entire code, but it is going to become a scrap code. It will not even work in the industry. Okay. You need to understand the project coding happens based upon layers. Okay. There is a layer for everything, so that it is easy to identify problems, easy to fix problems, easy to expand the solutions. So you need to start thinking, how do you keep your code organized for long run, even in one repository? So your high level design covers this kind of a thought process. Okay. What kind of, and this decision making itself includes what kind of design patterns you will use, because design patterns is nothing but just using a proper combination of maybe these interfaces or methods or utility classes or abstraction. The right way of doing those things is nothing but design patterns. Okay, that's what you have to start thinking in terms of how better your code can be organized, when to write abstraction, when to write utility method, how much code should be there in every method, and you should not violate these lines. If you say this method m1 is for so and so purpose, it cannot do anything other than that. Technically you can do many things, but if the method name and the description is saying I will do only this as part of this, so it should do only that. There were cases in projects, people wrote getter APIs, like get, let's say, transaction details. And some juniors, in simple this get transaction details, they were writing to update queries, trying to modify value. It is not allowed. Okay, big no. You cannot use update transactions or modify or delete anything in a get kind of a method. Get is only for getting, because that's how your future design is going to be. Anybody will use this future thing in future, and they will be like, it should just give me data. Why is it modifying? Coding wise, you can mess up anything, but understand, okay, this is how you write better code. Okay, how to keep your code organized, which layer in your full repository does what kind of work, where you should write your code, where your method should be. And if you're modifying the old method, did you properly check the entire impact of that old method, whoever is calling it at n number of places? If it is a new method, fine, you are writing it. But if you're modifying an old method, you need to make sure that old logic is properly intact. Now all of that kind of thought process first has to be thought at a high level, how it is easy for maintaining. Okay, next, your high level discussion gets into infrastructure and components. Nothing but the code that you are going to write is going to run eventually on an infrastructure, AWS or Azure or GCP, or let's say your own machines you have, whatever. And how these systems are, okay, it could be auto scale systems, nothing but the code you're writing. Okay, there might be multiple instances in which your code will be running, so there will be a number of services or instances of your service, means your code which is written once might parallelly run on 10 nodes at the same time. It depends if your project is like that. Okay, now if you have written two methods, method 1 and method 2, is there dependency between this method? Now just imagine, okay, if method 1 is called on this node, I'm talking about even while the real-time customer is running, if you have written a method and real time it goes to instance 1 and it serves the method 1. Let's say if method 2 is called now for the same customer in whatever functionality, if it goes to a different machine and then it is doing the processing, and if you have used a local hash map, the data is not going to be visible. So if you're working in a scalable system, scaled up systems, you have to be aware of these kind of violations, when to use a local cache, when not to use a local cache, the pros and the cons of that. Are there sticky sessions in place to ensure that second request also comes to my node? If not there, because HTTP is stateless, it will go here and there. So you need to really understand, are the dependencies between multiple methods which the people will be calling, and how do you centralize it if there are dependencies? That is where start thinking in terms of your infrastructure. While coding, you need to think about your infrastructure, how the code is going to run in production. And then comes a lot of other things, a lot of other third party integrations. For example, part of infrastructure itself. Okay, let's say AWS is giving so many services. AWS Lambda functions, AWS SQS, it's a queue-based system, like Kafka or ZMQ might be there. Okay, like ActiveMQ. Some of you might have heard about this name, ActiveMQ, Kafka, or RabbitMQ. A lot of tools are there. Okay, AWS is providing its own version. Next, open sources like DocumentDB, MongoDB, and there are a list of things as well. Okay. Now the point is, and there could be a number of other things. Now the point is, when you are trying to integrate with this, you need to develop not just your own code that you're writing, but how do you work with all this? If you're using any caches like cache or Redis in your application, or there could be a number of things. Okay. Now, point is elastic. Okay. Now, the point is, all of these things which you are really knowing, how do you integrate it with your projects? And if you are integrating code wise, where do you write this kind of integration logic? Because it should be all easily organized code. So the point is, you need to start thinking about all of this while you are actually doing this initial high level design. If for this feature I will need a Lambda function for something, or a SQS for doing some processing, what will be held in the caches? All of this thought process should happen as part of your high level design. Without this, if you take on to coding, you're going to mess up. And sometimes these discussions become so much extensive that it takes a lot of time, multiple people to come together, think together, then design might give getting reviewed by architects. They might give some approvals for that design. For complex feature, multiple work like that might happen. Okay, nothing but this is a time consuming phase. And then comes the development part. And while the development part is happening, straight away development does not happen. We start with a low level designing there. Low level designing, like how to define class, how to define methods, what should be the method name, what should be the request structure, what should be the response structure, what should be there in the database, what should be there in the middle layer. Okay, how to handle the transaction management logic, how to use the connection pools or thread pools. Okay, these kind of low level design discussions, where to reuse the methods, are there any other places methods? Okay, next, what should be the size of every method that you're writing? All these basic decisions which is going to be coded again need some discussions. And once that is done, then comes the actual development, where you start writing some code to do the things which is already developed. Okay, and then comes the rest of the phases. Now it's already 9:57. Okay, guys, today and tomorrow we are just going to take this end-to-end session. Okay, and then Wednesday, say, let's do some Q&A based upon any question that you're getting as part of today's and tomorrow's session. Okay, because mostly we will touch a lot of angles about projects as part of these 2 days. Okay, but now just to conclude it, just 2-3 minutes for the session to wind up. What I am saying is a conclusion here. Requirement part, initial analysis part, high level designing part. Don't mix these phases along with your agile 2-week sprint. What does this mean? Agile 2-week sprint is a 10-day sprint. Before the day one happens, let's say you are taking one feature to be developed, one feature for development. Okay, before the day one happens, all this work should already be done for that one feature. Sometimes feature might be small, it might not need that much time, but there should be clarity before the day one itself. Now you need to figure out in your projects how to get it done. But if this is not happening and you have a tight timelines of finishing this feature as part of this 2 weeks, it is not going to be possible. Without analysis, guys, I'm telling you my 12 years experience, without analysis, without high level design, if you have given an estimate, okay, we will finish this feature as part of this 2-week sprint, it is not a practical statement. Because while this designing is happening, a lot of uncertainty might come. While the analysis is happening, a lot of uncertainty might come. But if these two things are not done and you are giving an estimate, okay, we will finish this feature as part of this sprint, it's not practical statement. It doesn't work. The world doesn't work like that. So my suggestion is finish these two activities beforehand, rather than taking the work at hand. So when the day one happens, you should be completely clear with this, and then you can very confidently estimate how much work this feature will take for taking it to production, and then accordingly you can do it. Low level designing can happen, yes, should happen as part of this sprint cycle only. But yeah, just a conclusion here is we need to do this differently, not in the 2 weeks window. And if in case you are doing this as part of 2 weeks window, you have to do the communication properly. You say, okay, fine, so since we are working in a sprint, I am taking this feature for analysis and designing along with the current sprint, but don't give commitment of delivering it. Never in the IT industry give any estimation or commitment or timeline delivery, okay, we will finish it by so and so time, without doing this high level analysis and this designing part. If you are done with this, then you give a commitment. So yes, if you want to work in the current sprint itself, you say, first let me do the designing and analysis. Once I'm done with that, then I will be able to confirm by when we can finish this feature. It could be in the same sprint or it could be in the upcoming sprint. That's a different story. Okay, but understand this is a very strong boundary and don't violate it in your project. This is my 12 years of experience. I'm saying if you violate this line, you are inviting a lot of problems to yourself. You will run late in your deliveries, quality compromises, pressure at work, everything will start coming through. Maintain the separation. You can maintain the separation. Fine, this is what it is. I will be sharing this as part of our internal group, and yes, we will update it to the blog as well. It's already streamed on YouTube. You can go through the session again. But yes, as a continuation of this, we are going to again continue with tomorrow's 9 p.m. session. Okay. So let me, if you have any questions, put it as part of that, but we will take the questions on Wednesday. Full day question will be there, or maybe even Thursday if there are more questions. Okay. So first 2 days के अंदर एक full project related how the work happens, we will be focusing about that. Fine. Chalo, let me share you the attendance for today. And hope you understood a few things today. I did not try to get it into very details of lot of things, but at least catch the key pointers which we are trying to highlight. Okay. These are really essential things. Try to catch the key pointers. Sharing the attendance link. Code for today is 8989. Take the link. And again, I would like to congratulate all of you guys for being consistent. Okay, so I have not shared the link with everybody. It was for those shortlisted members who really completed 8, 9, or 10 sessions as part of the week 1 and week 2. Okay. Chalo. Mark the attendance. And apply, guys. Okay, IT is a pretty interesting. Just take IT as a game. Okay, it is game. It is challenging. It is interesting. And what I realized, there are two kind of people. I don't know. Maybe there are multiple types of people. Let's not categorize. Okay, but there are, in the end, boils down to this. There are some people who are really good, technically capable people, and there will be some people they are not really good. Okay, but somehow what happens now? Just try to understand. The people are who are not really technically good. They also need to survive. In the end, job is everybody wants a job, right? Everybody wants a job. So those who are not technically good, they then try to manipulate the system, manipulate people, or get into maybe this kind of corporate politics, trying to pull others back, trying to create blockers in the path of the people. Those kind of things will be there. I've seen it happening to people. Luckily, in my company, I've never seen that happening, because we all come with like growth oriented mindset and stuff like that. So really happy. I'm happy that I did not got exposure directly to that kind of thing, and I really wish you also don't get it. But I've seen some of my friends speaking about some other companies and projects where they have really faced those kind of problems. Now, I just want to tell you ki, yeah, but that's the truth. It can also happen. Okay, but how your journey should be, if you get stuck with this, your entire future is going to be spoiled. If you start manipulating things and trying to get into the same political game and all, so your mind will also get a chaotic thing, and in a long run it's going to be very painful for you. Okay, what I feel personally, the only way to succeed in the IT industry, which is easy way in fact, is to constantly keep growing, learn new technology, learn like how do you really solve problems, how do you really become good in coding, in designing, read more, explore more, solve more project problems. And guys, don't do it alone. Okay, this is another best learning that I can give. If you want success in your IT industry, do it along with your team. This is a mindset, maybe because as a student you don't really get it, but in the industry, after looking at 12 years, I am drawing this conclusion key: those who grow along with the team, only they have a future in the long run. Okay, I've seen people, very capable, talented people, but they do not want to share their knowledge with others. Such people were removed from the team. Okay, conclusions came like, we are okay to work with 70% person of his capability, but we don't want to work with such guy who are not ready to help the team. Just remove from the team, that's it. Okay, you might be the greatest at whatever, but if you don't care, if you don't share, you're not required, and industry will be okay with that. Okay, so थोड़ा be down to earth. Know that growth will happen when you share your knowledge and grow together. And I think as part of a couple of days ago session, already we discussed key, constantly you should grow and you should share. If you're only sharing and you are not growing forward, slowly those people will bypass you, and that is where you will adapt to a polluted mindset कि भाई कैसे अभी मैं मेरा knowledge नहीं दूंगा and all that. Yes, the right way is you share, but you keep constantly growing. That's the right way. Both things are important. If you do only one of it, it will be a problem. If only you grow, your team is not growing, that will be a problem. If you give everything and you don't grow, that will be a problem. So strike the right balance. Okay, so fine, this is what it is. It's an interesting industry and a challenging one. Okay, itna easy nahi rehta hai, but I think you can make it if you have the right approach towards the industry. Chalo, thank you all and see you guys tomorrow morning 6 a.m. and then I'm even thinking, okay, maybe the morning session should we start it from 6:30 to 7:30, because some of the guys really reached out to me saying कि 6 बजे थोड़ा आँख नहीं खुल रहा है because of whatever. So that's just a thought. Okay, can we do it 6:30 to 7:30 so that more of the members can join in? But the thought is at a very initial level. I'll open up it as a survey to all the guys who are joining, and then we will see how to take it through. Okay, okay, fine, everybody. Have a nice, peaceful sleep, and see you guys tomorrow. Bye, 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 bye.